I was often praised as a child for being articulate, born to speak, made for the stage. I believe that too. But all of that shattered when I was diagnosed with major depression. I remember when people found out I was sick, they'd ask, "What happened? Why?" And I had no answer. Later, I learned to list my traumas just to make them stop, but they always had advice. It's their fault. Let it go. It's all in the past. Really? If it's in the past, then why am I still stuck? The real past, the kind that actually becomes past, began in the theater. When I started to focus on my breath, feel the tension in my muscles, and move with awareness, I felt grounded. That's when I arrived in the present. I understood then I couldn't use my brain or words to convince that her child she was safe now. I had to speak to her through my body. Hey, I know it was terrible back then, but look, we made it here. You can breathe now. That was my first awakening to the sesame approach. Later, I became a teacher. In my second year, one of my students lost her best friend to suicide. Words were empty. So we sat with the grief, breathed, moved slowly through memory, read stories. 我们都用尽了全力，然而最后仍是一败涂地。剩下的那两棵意大利柏树中间露出一块冷冷的空白来，那是一道女娲炼石也无法弥补的天裂。Is the crack still there? I see her commemorate her friend year after year. But I also remember at the end of that year, she called my name, looked me in the eyes and said, "Happy New Year." So, yes, the crack is still there, but it's not the only thing that stayed. I recall something my Japanese professor once introduced in college. Monono aware, wabi-sabi, and kintsugi. They taught me no scar needs to be fixed. We just need spaces safe enough to live truthfully with the cracks. I was also reminded of what Carl Rogers once said. People are just as wonderful as sunsets if you let them be. When I look at a sunset, I don't find myself saying, "Soften the orange a bit on the right-hand corner." I don't try to control a sunset. I watch with awe as it unfolds. Together, they form the foundation of my understanding of the sesame approach. Create a space safe enough within the chaos. Walk alongside the clients as they bypass cognitive defense. Explore and experience themselves through story, myth, drama, and the body. And become a person fully present, just as my students and I have. With this understanding in mind, I began bringing elements of drama and movement into a body image support group I was leading for Hotline. In our final session, I invited participants to pair up and call each other's names, mirror in tone, volume, and presence. One usually withdrawn member could barely whisper. Frustrated, she paused. I walked over and said softly, "Want to try again? We are here with you." She nodded, breathed, and did it. Her partner cheered, so did she. Later, she shared that she often struggled to voice her needs or set boundaries. But in that moment, she said, I felt strong through my body. Weeks later, she told me she had said no to her family for the very first time. That to me is the power of the body and the reason I'm committed to studying the Sesame approach. I'm genuinely excited to learn alongside classmates from all kinds of backgrounds. That said, I still carry some questions, not as thoughts, but as hopes. I've seen how drama and movement can touch something raw and unexpected. So I wonder, how does the program support us in navigating emotional safety, boundaries, and transference? And how do we learn to attune to each client's pace and readiness with care? I look forward to learning how to work with greater care, to listen, not just with attention, but with presence. Thank you for watching.